Alright, now that we're on the Scratch Live side of things, let's take a look at how I have my X1 mapped and how I have it controlling things in Scratch Live 2.0. Now the X1 is pretty much mirror image on itself, so the left half of the controller is going to control the left deck in Scratch Live, and the right half of the controller is going to control the right deck in Scratch Live. Now all the buttons are labeled already, however that is for Traktor Pro and Traktor Scratch Pro. But a lot of them have similar functions in Scratch Live, so I tried to copy and reproduce those same functions where applicable. Alright, so since it's pretty much mirror image, I don't have to explain both sides because it's pretty much the same. Everything on one side does the same thing just on the other deck, so I don't have to go through each thing twice, except for a few things that I have mapped differently, but for the most part, everything's mirror imaged on the controller. So these two knobs right here are for scrolling through tracks like this. You can use either one. They are also push button encoders, so if you want to load the track to the corresponding deck, you just push the button, or the knob, excuse me, down or in, and that will load the track. And same thing with the other side, that will load it. These two knobs right down here control the auto loop lengths, so as you can see over here, those control the auto loop length scrolling. And again, if I want to engage the loop, I just press it down or in, and that will do the loop of the predetermined set length that you have selected. These buttons right here are labeled in and out. That is for manual looping, so if I want to do a manual loop, let me get it on count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is how you do manual loop. With those buttons right here. To exit the loop, just click the button down again, the rotary knob. These buttons right here are labeled beat and for pitch bending. So this one will do a pitch bend up, or down, excuse me. So pushing, holding that down will do a pitch bend down, pitch bend up. That's good, so I don't have to sit there and keep nudging the turntable. If I just want to do a little correction real quick, I can just press that real quick. And that will do a nice little pitch bend, so we don't have to keep sitting there nudging the platter on the turntable or the CDJ. The next row of buttons are labeled Q Relative and Cup Absolute. I actually don't have those mapped to anything yet. I haven't decided what I want to use them for. I only use relative mode, so I don't need to switch between absolute and relative mode, so I'll figure something out for those. Now the next row is labeled Play and Sync. I have the play button mapped to the temporary cue point in Scratch Live, which if you don't have set, defaults to the beginning of the track, and that will just restart the track. Now I like that because this is just a quick and easy way to restart the track, so I don't have to sit there and pick up the needle, bring it back to the beginning of the record since I use relative mode. I mean, I could do that, but that just saves time. I can just, when I'm first beat matching the track in my headphones, trying to get it matched up to the other track playing to the audience to, beat match it and mix it in and whatnot. So I can just do that real quick to restart the track. The sync button, obviously Scratch Live does not have auto sync, but I have that mapped to the reverse sensor function in Scratch Live, so pressing and holding that will do a quick little reverse dump, like that. Or you can just hold it down and it'll play reverse. Okay. Now, the X1 also has two MIDI pages. So right now I'm on the default page 1. If you hit the shift button, that will basically bring you into the second MIDI page, which you can then remap everything over a second time. And I have a few secondary functions assigned on the secondary shift page. Again, with the auto loop knob, scrolling, we'll still scroll through the auto loop lengths. However, if I push it down, it will do a loop roll instead of a normal auto loop. So as again, you should know by now, a loop roll is like a normal auto loop, but when you disengage the loop, the track will jump back to where it should have been if you did not loop at all. So I can use the secondary shift MIDI scrolling knob to do loop rolls. Now, I also have these four buttons right here labeled to preset determine loop roll amounts. So if I don't want to use the knob and scroll through the links, if I just want to do a quick one and I can mix it up a little bit. Well, that probably wasn't the best part to do it on. Let me just jump to the track a little bit more. So those are just for quick button pushing of loop rolls. Okay, now these 4 buttons over here, and over here, again, everything's mirror image, so I don't have to explain it twice. These 4 I have for setting and triggering cue points. If you don't have any cue points set, pressing it once will set the cue point, like that, and then triggering it a second time will re-trigger from that cue point. So as for triggering and setting cue points, again, the other buttons will just set them. If you don't have a cue point currently set, alright. Now, so yeah, cue points, looping, setting, loop rolls, all that stuff. These 4 I have set to jump between the different viewing modes, new in Scratch Live 2.0. So this will switch to the library mode. That will switch to the vertical mode, the horizontal mode, and then the stack mode. And that's pretty much all I have set right now on the secondary MIDI page. So let's go back to the first page. And now let's take a look at the effects, which are going to be controlled up here with these buttons and knobs. Okay, so I have the effects panel itself. This button right here, this will bring up the effects panel, and this button underneath it will bring up the advanced mode. Now, the effects slots, I have them mapped to just the first effects slot on each side. So this one will control the first effects slot on the left side. This one will control the first effects slot on the right side. And all the knobs are pretty much mirror image to what's in the software, vertically up and down. So this one will control the depth. This one will control the resonance, this one will control the LFO, this one will control the beat amount. So, we have high pass filters, let's take a look at that. Let's do a manual one. Now these 4 buttons down here also on the first primary MIDI page control which deck the effects processor is assigned to. So I'm going to select that one because I want to affect the left deck on the first effects processor, and I usually keep that one on the second deck for the right side. Alright, so let's take a look at the high pass filter. That turns it on up here. These 2 buttons will turn on the effects, and as you can see the LED stays lit, again because it's assigned as a toggle. So, let's turn the depth knob to do a manual filter sweep. So that is a manual filter sweep. The depth, turn the LFO all the way down. Okay, if I want to change effects, I actually have it assigned to the secondary MIDI page, which I forgot to tell you. So I hit Shift, and turning the knob that I normally use for scrolling through the tracks will change the effect in the first slot. So I can change effects like that. So let's take a look at a bit crusher effect. Bring up the blend a little bit, and a little bit low drive. So that was a bit crusher. Let's take a look at a delay. Turn everything down. And let's do a half beat delay. So that's a delay. Let's turn the feedback up a little bit. So that was the delay, and that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, so this is the X1. Also, I have these buttons, 3 over here, assigned to the different, let me close the effects panel, viewing mode. So this will be normal text mode. I can jump to album art viewing modes like this, or the grid mode, which I didn't have assigned, sorry. There we go, wrong button. So this will jump between the different viewing modes. And I can scroll and load tracks that way. So, here we go. This is my first look at the new Traktor Kontrol X1 and using it with Scratch Live 2.0. Again, I recommend you check it out. It's a very good MIDI controller, and I highly recommend it for 2.0.